Hi, it's Nicole Franklin. Hello, everybody. Nicole Franklin here with an Epiphany Conversation, or EConvo, on Twitter and in our Google Plus community, an Epiphany Conversation. Join us because we have some very fun hangouts that we do on Monday nights, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time usually. And so that's what we're doing tonight. Tonight we thought we'd do something really, really fun with Dr. Rhonda Perry. She is from the southern region of the United States. And, you know, we always have an international conversation. So we found Dr. Rhonda down in Atlanta. And full disclosure, she's my cousin. So hi, Dr. Rhonda.
Hey, cuz.
So Dr. Rhonda is an expert at healing broken hearts. And you'll see there on her Twitter handle that she is Dr. spelled out D-O-C-T-O-R. Jan Perry on Twitter, and use the hashtag Healing Broken Hearts, and you can find her quickly on Twitter and ask her questions there, or just go to her practice. We thought we'd talk about a cool topic tonight that, it's really cooled down a lot of relationships here in the U.S. in that people are waiting to get into a relationship, so we thought we'd tackle that tonight in our half-hour chat. And we invited some friends along, and I'm so happy to have them. Like I said, we're an international conversation. So we have our friend, another Nicole. Nicole, hi, Nicole Phillips, also from Atlanta. Hi, Nicole. And another friend of ours from the southern region, as well as up north, Kay James of where'smypacifier.com. Hey, Kay. And then we're going to jump across the pond to Humphrey. I just met Humphrey, and a really cool person, and he's going to add his 2 cents, which is going to be worth a lot to us here. But Dr. Rhonda, we're going to start with you, of course. Why are people waiting to be in a relationship? I, am probably waiting to my bills are paid. But what are people? What's going right there?
That's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, to be financially ready for that relationship, definitely. Well, first, Nicole, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about just relationships in general. I just really appreciate it. And as you know, really a reason why I am so focused on this topic is because in my practice, I see so many single, educated, smart women who are desiring of being in a relationship. And again, as we talked about, I've actually started a group called Single and Searching. And it is a group it's for African American women, mainly because I do see some specific cultural and historical pieces to working with that particular group. But the issues that I deal with are really for all women. And so what I'm seeing is these smart, beautiful, very much like the women on the panel here, who are coming in and, they're starting to see they're hitting 30, and then they're hitting 35, and then they're hitting 40. And like our, the theme of our time is flying. And so they're getting really concerned. They're getting to the point where they're worrying that, hey, maybe this thing isn't going to happen. So now, for those who are out there who are single, you will know you've been to family gatherings, you've been to your coworkers, and it's like, why isn't someone like you married? You're smart, and it's almost like there's something wrong with you as a single person. People are choosing to be single nowadays as well, but there is still the stigma around singleness, and so unfortunately, what I'm seeing is that women are getting depressed, they're getting down on themselves, they're losing confidence in themselves. So my goal for this group is, in a big way, is to try to help women to understand, first of all, that marriage does not mean happiness, that you have to be happy before you're married, that you have to understand that you have to be a whole person and the two whole people come together. I also hope to combat some myths about being single and timeline. For example, you are able to be married after 40. So women out there who are over 40, stop panicking. The other thing is, not all older men date younger women. So if you're 45 years old, don't start freaking out that, none of these guys are going to want me. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. And so, a lot of these things get into our head, because that's what we're fed by the media and by society, is that there's something wrong with us if we're not at a certain point, at a certain age in our lives. But there's a very real concern for a lot of women that if they want children, that as they get older, that's less a possibility. So, it really is about kind of understanding and learning that, you're going to be fine, whether single or whether married. It's about creating that happiness in your life. So I'm excited to talk about this. I love getting perspectives. Like I said, Atlanta is a great city to practice out of. There are single, educated, beautiful women on every corner. No one's kidding. But
well, we actually hear a lot of different issues with Atlanta. I don't know if we want to go there tonight, but I want to go back to something you said, Rhonda, about you have women that are depressed coming into your practice. So again, Dr. Rhonda's mic is popping just a little bit. So I just wanted to repeat a few things. She has a group called Single and Searching, where I guess the median age would be, what would that be? 30s?
30s, yeah.
And then, and probably older.
Yeah.
And you're saying that they get depressed. And I know you also specialize in trauma. And how traumatic does the depression get just over the fact that women are single?
And that's what I guess why I decided to do this group, because it can get very serious in terms of some women just feeling like, the depression, they just kind of opt out. They just decide, I'm not going to date anymore, period. So it's to the point of not only just trying to get them to understand, how smart, intelligent, wonderful that they are, but also recognizing, hey, you're getting to this point of depression, actual depression, where you're losing confidence in yourself. And anger as well as something else I'm seeing, anger towards men. I actually, as one feature of the group I did, I brought in a group of men. We had a great dialogue, and I wanted to try to break down. That's another of my goal in this group, is to break down these myths about men. Not all men are demons, they're not horrible. They're out there just trying to find love like women are, So that's a big piece of it as well, is not to buy into anger and or the depression that can come. So,
and then should we ask our resident man here, Humphrey, are you getting a lot of bitterness, like haterade at you?
Just a minute.
We have you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? First of all, I'm actually surprised at the fact that some women think that there's no men out there. There are. I'm pretty sure that there are. Hey, there's no rule book to say you have to be in a relationship at the end of the day. It comes from within. If you're happy within yourself, then hey, someone may come along. If someone comes along and you connect, you connect. I do understand that some people feel they've got to be in a relationship, they have to have this and they have to have that by a certain time. The main thing is you have to be happy within yourself at the end of the day. You got your family, you got your friends, and who knows, you could get lucky.
But how do guys like tell women, or do you guys fight it at all? Do you just say, okay, I give up, I'm moving on to the next woman? Because I think guys do that really well, whereas women kind of hold out for the one. And like Dr. Rhonda has told me on many occasions, you just need one, and there's billions of guys out here providing me.
Yeah, I suppose in truth, some men probably find it a lot easier to just like move on and to the next person, maybe. However, some men may find it difficult as well to sort of like move on, depending on their experiences, and if they might have had a terrible experience, and that might be holding them back. It really, for me, being single. I was in a 2-year relationship a few years ago, a long-term relationship. Initially, when we broke up, I found it difficult But as time went on, you learn to live with it, and there's plenty more fishes in the sea. You know, at the end of the day, you know.
Very
But not
interesting.
everybody's the same. Not everybody's the same. Everybody's different, and depends on what support networks that you may have. You know, earlier on you talking about dating websites. Now, I personally haven't done. I'm not knocking them. I haven't done the dating website. I've had some friends that have done some date that have been on the dating websites, and they found it interesting. But for me, personally speaking, I'm old school. I prefer to be going out there and meeting the person face to face. You know.
I think I do too. I do too. And then who brought up that dating website? I think it was our Miss K. I don't know, Kay, if you want to share. But
It was me. It was me. I did bring up the dating website only because I just recently found out about it. I mean, even though it's been going on for quite some time, I was pretty hesitant before. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't want to go on it. I was like, what if someone was trying to kill me? I mean, let's be real. You know, I don't know what's gonna come. So my friend, she really was persistent about it, and I did started doing the online dating. And I mean, you know what? You can find that one person, or you just have to deal with different personalities. And
well, I think we were worried about the creeps, right? Because and it, you know, I guess creepy can go in person as well. I mean, I don't know.
right, yes,
Doctor,
you are right, because even though, like, yes, because now they could hold you captive. No, I'm just joking, but
or not, you know, they got the whole stalker show for a reason.
I'm just saying, like, just dealing with someone online is like you could actually meet their representative, what they want you to know and whatnot, and then when you meet them in real life, it's like, who is this guy or who is this person? So, it's being online dating. It's really a trend now because everything is done online. But when you really think about it, is you don't want to really risk. I don't want to say risk your life, but you're kind of risking your life to know if this individual is real or not, because you don't know who is going to be there when you actually meet them. And I did a couple online dating. Luckily for me, they were real. I wasn't catfished or anything, so it worked out the best for me. But just getting to know them, it just didn't work out. But there is the other side that is just not perfect, or just not real, or just dealing with that situation. It's kind of really different. But I won't knock online dating. I won't. I mean, if you want to do it and you want to give it a shot, then by all means, I'm with you. More power. But if you have to be careful. You really do have to be careful, because some people are really not the person that you really think you're gonna meet. But if that works out for you and you meet your soulmate, then hey, I'm happy for you. I want my soulmate. So. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like to me that you're ordering from a menu, but it is an option, because I think Dr. Rhonda, you like mentioned it before. How do you, but how do you counsel someone into it? Like me, I'm really kind of adamant against it, but how do you counsel someone into a good online dater?
So, I guess my thing is about just embracing your singleness, right? So, not seeing singleness again as like some sort of disease, or that there's something wrong with you if you're not partnered. So it's about looking at options. And so for some, as Kay said, online dating is that option. And I'm sure, I was mentioning before that there's plenty of success stories online. But yeah, I mean, for some, I have women in my practice who are either, as I said, opting out of even trying because of their frustration, wanting to be partnered and just not having that success. One of the things in the group that we do look at is their relationship patterns to see, are you choosing a certain type of person? I'm trying I don't want to stigmatize women as if, like the problem is all theirs. But if that is something you want, if you do want to have marriage, if you do want family, then there's things you can do. So sitting at home on a Friday night, and with the good woman. Is that your show, Miss Nicole Franklin? Is that The Good Man or whatever that show is you're watching?
The Good Wife. All hail the
Good Wife. Right, exactly. I love it. Not putting the show down. I'm just saying, if you're home all weekend watching TV, I mean, there's a good chance, that you're not going to be finding anybody. That's all I'm saying.
I actually want to ask a quick question because I am that girl that actually on a Friday night I would rather Netflix. I would rather do that only because I do have a little one and I don't have I guess the freedom or anything to just hey, drop my bags and I'm just gonna go out and party. I don't get that privilege. So I do understand where you're coming from, but at the same time it's kind of hard, like, okay, it's my Friday night, and I'm Netflixing. It's so weird, but, I'm Netflixing, so even though I can go out, but how do I go about that and not come off weird? Weird when I say weird, when I say weird is pretty much not trying to be a newbie at dating, because I've dated before, but being a single mom and dating is just completely different. So it's like, how do I not come off weird?
Well, so not come off like you're desperate or
Right, yes, desperate, but I didn't want to use that word, but that is the word that I want. But yes. I don't want to come off too desperate, like, hey, thank you for paying attention to me, because that's really not the case. Like, I don't want to come off desperate because I'm really not, but at the same time, I would like to gain some friendship or just something, and, build on that. But, I just want to know how do I go from there? That's just the question I have.
So if you were sitting on my couch in my therapy room, I would say, to me, that the main thing is about, I think, feeling confident within yourself. And so you're a single mom. You have so many challenges. You have, you're learning new things about you and your son and just your life. And so I think, part of it is really just recognizing, that fact that you're learning, you're growing, but you are a beautiful person, inside and out. And so I think, again, it's about just when that confidence is there, it's very attractive. It attracts people to you, So you really don't have to work that hard at it, because it just kind of oozes out. So, I think for everybody, male or female, it is about knowing yourself and loving yourself first. And so, I'd like to hear maybe what others think about that, but that's kind of what I would suggest,
I'm sorry. I totally agree, because like as much as I love myself, I'm just a little hesitant. I guess just don't want to be scared. But I'm like talking to you that we're in your little couch on the break room, so
right.
Don't take up too much.
Oh gosh! And you know what? My battery's going down, guys. So let me take a second to plug in real quick. Maybe the other Nicole want to.
Plug in, well, the other Nicole for sure. And I do want to add, that I can totally relate to Kay, because there was a long stretch of time where I didn't date, and the first guy that I dated after a long stretch of time got my full attention, like more than it was overwhelming to him. So, I think getting out there is really, really helpful, because then you won't be so all or nothing, with that first guy. You really have to treat it as, hey, we're just kind of hanging out and getting to know each other, versus like jumping all in and scaring them off, if that makes sense. I don't know. Dr. Rhonda probably counseled me through that too. I'm not sure. But I mean, I think getting out there is helpful in that it doesn't put so much pressure on one person. That would be my advice if I were to talk to myself 10 years ago.
I'll take it, Nicole.
I think I'm going to jump in now, because I realize I haven't said much. But it's so interesting. I have not usually been one to have much discussion around the single stuff. And being single my entire life, that's really interesting. But I would say for me, for the most part, my journey is kind of like with a lot of women, and I learned this because last night I had the pleasure of being in the company of some really wonderful women, and we talked about what that journey was like for many of us. And I would say the majority of people were probably 40 and up. I would also say that many of us agreed that in our 30s we really wrestled with it more. We realized too that there are some people that are older, and sometimes those things become cyclical. Like if you don't really deal with it when you're supposed to, and when I say deal with it, everybody has their own process. For me, dealing with it was coming to be honest with myself, and also being honest about my expectations. I happen to come from a family that, marriage, people stay married. Divorce in our family is very rare. Not that it's never happened, but it's rare. So when it, for me over time, what I've come to learn is a lot of my friends that got married in their, like say their 20s or so, were starting to get divorced. And I was at these weddings, and then I'm seeing these marriages fall apart. And so what's happening is my attitude started to change. My attitude started to change in terms of my expectations. And so I kind of started being, my latest fear, as I was telling everybody last night, is that I've gotten so comfortable being single that I am afraid almost that I will not even forget, because I don't think I'll forget. My desire for coupling and marriage is always present, but I just don't want to become so comfortable that whenever that guy comes along, whoever he's supposed to be, that I can't share, or I can't, give of myself or give up my space and time the way I should. I actually was in a relationship that lasted for about a year. And what was good about it for me is the fact that we lived on different sides of town. And so we really didn't get together too much during the week because we couldn't. It was not feasible. And so that was helpful in many ways. And I got to breathe because I got to be with my friends, and I got to spend time with him when it was time. But, eventually, now that I'm, that relationship has ended or whatever, I find myself, again, looking at reclaiming that comfort that I've had of being single for so long. And so how do you go about navigating that? And I actually got a really good word of wisdom from someone yesterday who really challenged me in the group. And one of the things that she told me to look at in terms of my language, she said, well, if you're comfortable being single and you keep saying that you're comfortable, then that's all you are, is comfortable, and people kind of accept that. And to couple the entire truth of how I feel, I have been now challenged to use the following term, and that is the following phrase to say, I am just as comfortable being single as I am comfortable being partnered. So that was kind of a good epiphany that I've started to work on in terms of walking in a certain type of truth.
I think that's a great epiphany. I like it. I like it. That works. That really works.
Thank you. But I will also say, too, I guess the thing that helps a lot, too, is being around people who are going to be honest enough and being open when it hurts, to people who are going to love you enough to be honest and say, look, this is where you're doing great, and this is where you could improve, or that didn't go so well. Or sometimes you need people to give it to you raw.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing, too, for me is I'm so glad I have male friends. Like Humphrey is a sounding board for me. But I have other men in my life that I could talk to, that I can trust, and we can have really frank discussions. And even if I don't like what is being said, I recognize it as a truth. And so I use that to kind of help me guide me in my situations. But, I think for all of us, we all go through it. And it's normal. It's what it is. And, I think all of us will have our days when we wish we had somebody, but I just think it's awesome to be able to talk about it and just admit where we are all the time, because for me, that's helpful.
And I guess, two things, Nicole. I don't know how we're doing on time, but I do also want to say I totally agree with, and again, about this thing about just being happy where you are, because for as many single women as I have telling me how unhappy they are, I have married women telling me how unhappy they are, and so it's not about being married. It's about, the grass is greener on the other side. So keeping that in mind. And then Nicole also talked about, having male friends. I think that is so important. that we're friends. You know, men and women need to be friends to be able to understand each other and get that other point of view. So, but yeah, it really is about embracing you, being comfortable with no matter where you are.
So what happens when that friendship with the men moves a little farther, or you want it to move farther and they don't want it to move farther, and what happens there?
Well, and so that changes the whole definition of the relationship at that point, definitely. Yeah, we haven't even gotten into some, you know, alternative types of choices that women are doing in order to be coupled or partnered, but yeah, I think it's always that possibility that friendship.
We can jump in. We have 5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes left. Okay. Yeah, there's women, you know, we used the word desperation before, who are so desperate, and I dare say, you know, I focus on women in my practice, but I dare say there are men who also find themselves desiring of it, who are choosing different types of relationship options. You know, whether it's as I said, just choosing to be alone, or this idea of sharing men. You know, so basically, you had shared your article with me, Nicole, about, you know, what, dating while married.
Yes,
dating while
we're writing an article this week, Dating While Married, and the open relating community. And there's a community of folk who have it figured out. I mean, and it's so weird because the singles are like, I haven't figured it out yet, or maybe I'm figuring it out. You know, some days it's bad. These people seem to always be good. It's very strange, but it was interesting research.
Yeah, definitely, and it's out there, you know. But you know, again, I told you before, it's not my area of expertise necessarily, you know, but it's real. You know, it's happening. It's, you know, people are again in situations and where they're just not happy by themselves, so they're willing to accept anything. What I'm seeing mainly more is just women who are settling, and so just because they want to be with someone, they're willing to be with someone who doesn't treat them well, who doesn't respect them, but they will make excuses for that individual so that they can maintain the relationship.
Can I take part in that? Only because, you know, I completely agree with that. Only because that was me a few years ago. And then once I had my son, you know, I realized I don't want to settle anymore. I want what I want, and I know what I want. And knowing that and having this epiphany right now, I really feel like I'm going to be single, because they don't make the men that you know, I mean, I don't want to say old school men, but the guys are not the men that we grew up with, you know. They're girls now. Say girls. That's probably like the wrong term, but somebody agrees, right?
Okay, I will.
They're not like manly, like, you know, like back, you know.
We'll have Humphrey respond to that soon, but go ahead.
I'm just saying that I completely agree with you, Perry. It's just it's a different age now, Dr. Perry. It's like, you know, I think roles have been reversed, and now the females are men and the men are women, and just in a certain, like, in relationship concept wise, and it's different now to date, and it's harder, and I feel like females now have to feel like they have to put on this desperation act, because if you don't do it, then you're just going to be single for the rest of your life. And as females, we don't want to be single for the rest of our lives. You know, we do want to settle down. And as the age and as the time keeps ticking and nothing is going along, why not settle? No, I'm not saying I'm going to settle, because I refuse to. I won't do it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying about roles changing, but you know one thing that I find that never changes is that guys still need their egos stroked. That, like, has never changed in all of my years. I don't know. I mean, that's what my experience is. Sorry, Humphrey.
They kind of need their ego stroked. They need it just a little bit. You know, you got to make a man feel like a man. You know, you want them to feel like, oh, yeah, go ahead, knowing well that we're handling the situation. But you know, you just gotta stroke their egos a little bit. But at the same time, it's it's just hard to find that guy in this day and age. I think if I was like in the 60s or 70s, I probably would find like that perfect guy. But now in this day and age, I'm really questioning a lot of things. I'm really questioning a lot of things.
Humphrey, I don't know if Humphrey wants to comment. I have a comment, but he may want to jump in.
Humphrey?
Here's the thing, right? And I suppose because of how when I was growing up, right, both my mum and dad were equal partners in this thing. Now I can recall when, if my dad arrived home before my mum, he would have the food already prepared and everything. Wouldn't be waiting for mum, make sure everything was more or less done, and vice versa. But again, I suppose it may depend on your environment if you're used to that. I don't know. For me, and my opinion is that both parties have an equal part to play in a relationship. You don't, whether times have actually changed. Like for example, it was on the news the other day that a lot of men in the UK are actually stay at home and looking after the kids, looking after their children.
Right.
Right. And a lot of women are the breadwinners.
Yep.
You know, so times have really changed. And I mean, but then throughout my entire life, when I was in school, most of my teachers were all female. There were male teachers, but mainly female. You know, and especially like in my job that I do, mainly female workers. I support adults with learning disabilities in the community. But there are male workers that are there. But again, it's about having that balance. And to me, there's nothing unusual if a woman is the breadwinner. There's nothing, to me, that's just me.
Right.
I'm used to that, you know.
Yeah, but I understand. I completely understand that all the way. Only because you know, it's, you know, someone has to make the money. Someone has to bring money home, which is completely understandable. And I do understand, like nowadays, roles have been reversed, but at the same time, as a female, me being a female and grown up in my household, you know, not saying my father ruled the house or anything, but you know, that's daddy.
Yeah.
He gets that, you know, that's the man of the house. So I grew up in a traditional sense, kind of, sort of, like, even though my mom is really strong and independent, but you know, we had daddy play his role.
Yeah.
Broke his ego. So you know,
I'm telling you, it's the secret of life. It's the secret of life. Yeah.
We probably need more. We probably need more men on the panel. But
yeah. But also at the same time, now I will add.
Go ahead.
This
is great. We're all jumping in.
Yeah, I will add that fact that my dad died pretty young. Aww. So with me and my brothers, we learned to become more responsible. And so my mum became a mother and a father to all three of us, and she raised us really well.
Wow.
You know, also helped, as Nicole said, with our family. We're sort of like pretty much okay, more or less. We had that supporting network. I understand that not many people have that supporting network, you know. So, but I hear what you're saying though, Nicole. You know, yeah.
Yeah, well, different strokes. I want to see what the other Nicole thinks about that, because, you know, roles being switched with generations, having the guys step up to be guys. Are you waiting for that, Nicole, or are you accepting of what's out there now, especially in Atlanta?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I am kind of in the in-between. I mean, I grew up kind of similar to Humphrey, like, in many ways, I grew up with, my dad was the only guy in the house, so it was, and I'm the youngest, oldest of three. And so my dad is like the male, but he's very alpha personality. He's quiet, but he's still strong. Like, he was present, very present. And if he's happy, everything's good, but if he's not happy, then it's like, oh my gosh. But then again, I have my strong mother. And my mom is Humphrey's aunt, actually. And his father and my mom were brother and sister. And so she's pretty strong, you know. And so my both parents worked and everything, but it was interesting to see them go head to head because like my mother doesn't back down, my dad doesn't back down. But I think for one of the things I would take from them is that my parents have been married for like what 47 or 48 years now, and they are best friends. And so they're like, you don't see one without the other too much, but then there's space sometimes. You know, my mom and dad kind of, you know, I never know now and then I think they go into their own corners, but one of the things I asked my mom, I said, really, how do you all keep it fresh? Like, how do you keep it going? And the thing that she says is, you know, we have fun. She's like, we still play. Sometimes we play pranks on each other, but we're really buddies. Like, we cut up. And I never thought about that. And I look at my parents, and if I were to say their age right now, I'd probably get cut off for life, so I'm not going to go there. They have lived, you know, but to see them as vibrant as they are, they take great care of themselves, and they're very similar in their goals. Like, they're very like-minded in many ways. Sometimes what's different about them is that they do things differently, but they balance each other, you know, like it's a really cool symbiotic relationship. It's not perfect, but it's definitely. So I'd say for me, the influence that I have for them is making sure that I have somebody who's balanced. I would love to have an alpha male presence, you know, in my relationship. At the same time, I know the challenges of being around the alpha sometimes, because I too am strong-minded and strongly opinionated, and I've been told I have a strong personality. And so, you know, I think in terms of like navigating relationships, I have had to tell myself often, okay, concede a little, you know, you don't always have to be right. It's okay to give up the control and to let somebody else, to lead someone else. And like recently, for example, like one of the things when I was talking with my friends yesterday, that I was talking about what are some things that I could do to kind of like try to, you know, soften not myself, but like to really, soften is not the word, but to really interface in a way that's partnering and somewhat giving up some of that control. And I thought of doing something like dancing, like ballroom dancing or partnership dancing, where you have to be led by a man. Because I was like, you know what, that might be kind of cool, like an interesting way to do that. So
it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I just think it's kind of hard to say. Like, you know, I think most women, we all had that fantasy. And see, for me, I was like very much into the fairy tales, like the man who comes to the rescue and I will save you and da da da. As when I think now about my life and I think about like what if I waited to go on these adventures, what if I waited to do anything because I didn't have a man? Well, I would have no life. And to be honest, I wouldn't have met a lot of men. You know, so I don't know. I'm glad that the journey has been, I can say it now because I'm happy now, that the journey has been pretty awesome.
Oh,
I'm with you, Nicole. I am with you.
Yay! So we're all happy about it. We're not depressed.
No.
Yay.
To be single is like it is ultimately a choice to be single, because if you don't want to be single, you could always go ahead and shackle up and settle down with someone and deal with that lifestyle, you know. And then to be single is a choice. You're waiting. You know what you want, so why settle? Why settle? I mean, but that's only for the strong, and I say it's only for the strong because it takes a lot of guts to not, you know, you see everyone else is happily in quotation marks. We will do that. And, you know, to see that, it's like, oh my God, I want that. But you don't know what goes on behind a closed door. They could be really sad and depressed. You know, we don't know that. So to be single is really and truly a choice, and to continue to be single is, I won't say a great thing, because we do have our moments. We do want that, you know, someone, but if it's not right now and if it's not presented to us right now, I feel like it's okay. It's okay. We're going to find someone. I really truly believe that. No one tell me any different, because if you guys do, I don't know how I'm going to take it.
Well, you know, what's so funny though, what's so interesting, I will never forget, like really when I was in the throes of feeling horrible about this whole single thing, and going on Facebook, and I would see all my friends who had the babies, and they, everybody's got the coordinating outfits, and they look so pretty. Oh my gosh! And I'd like be that faux happy person, like pretend to be happy, but inside I'm like, why isn't it me? And just like wrenching myself, And then the more you get to know, one of my friends actually pulled me, he called me out. He was like, why do you believe, if you don't believe everything you see on TV, why would you believe everything you see in social media? Like, people will put any kind of picture out there. And they'll leave a picture up for months. And you're looking thinking, oh, they're still so happy. Well, that's the facade, And not to say that it's not real, but sometimes, we can spin our stories how we want to, is the point. And really, you can, the truth is just in the interaction and getting to know the people and really hearing the story. So, that's, again, trying not to get caught up in the facade of what appears to be happy and what appears to be like, oh, the perfect wedding or the perfect this, that, the third, because there's no perfect anything. It's just life.
What I've noticed as well, because I do have friends like you, Nicole, that just put up the perfect show on Facebook, and I'm just like, oh my God, your life cannot just be that perfect. Like, really? Really? Your life is that perfect? Okay. I feel like for someone to go out the way to prove that they're perfect, have so much to prove. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if everything is going good and well, you don't have to prove anything. You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to even mention anything at all. So if it's going that perfect, why are you, broadcasting it? Because I feel like happiness is something that you want to spread, but at the same time, it's just on social media is not the way to spread it. You spread love and happiness in person. I don't need to spread my love and happiness on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or, oh, look at me kissing my new boo, whatever. It's just, when you see me in person, you'll be like, oh, that girl is in love. She loves that man, and then you spread that to the next individual, they spread it on. But for social media, I feel like love and social media, you just don't, it doesn't mix. It never mix. Because once you put it out there, if anything shall happen, you have to go with the downfall, which is, oh, I broke up with this guy, and everyone has something to say about that, So it's like, I feel the best way to have a relationship is to not put it on Facebook, because you don't need people validation. You don't need that, because if you know what you have, I don't need Tom, Dick, and Harry to tell me that I'm in love, because I know I'm in love. So I don't even need to put it out there, So that's just my take of things.
Right.
Well, and I think there's a reason too, guys, where women, all the self-help books are written for women, and women are the ones talking about this. There really is, for us, more of our sense of identity comes from relationships,
That's true.
And more so maybe career, because they want to be, known as the ability to provide. And, there's this that sense of self-esteem that comes with career success. But for us, it really is about our identities in relationships. And so it is hard sometimes when we see friends getting married or friends having the children or seemingly happy in their situation, but not really recognizing that, to marry someone really is not just you're going to go skipping along and you'll have holidays. It's much more than that. It's about sacrifice. It's about not getting what you want. It's about the other person. It's about, you take your spouse to the hospital at 3 in.the morning when they, are sick. It's that. It's not I get it dressed up every Friday and I have someone to take me out to dinner, So, but yeah, there's reasons why for us as women, we do tend to get a little bit more down and frustrated when, we don't have someone in our lives because people think there's something wrong with us. They think we're, pariahs because we're alone. And so that's why I guess I'm trying to encourage, is about being in the now, in the moment. What's your life like right now? Who am I now instead of, who I'm going to be down the road?
And people keep telling us, people are projecting. They're saying, oh, well, why aren't you married? Child number 1, child number 2, and all these questions. So if the questions weren't there, I think it'd be a little easier.
Yeah.
And, oh, Nicole. Nicole has a question.
I have a question. So, one of the funniest things I ever heard was one of my former coworkers. This is like about 10 years ago. We were joking around. No, even longer than that. But we were joking around, and she was saying to me, and her name's Rhonda too, but she was saying to me at the time, I love me some love. And I was cracking up. And that was the first time I ever thought about the fact that people could be in love with the idea of being in love versus really being in love. Like, you know, I've known, and then I started thinking, and I started thinking about all the times that, you know, people take the wedding books, the bridal books and stuff, and they look at them and they start planning their stuff, you know, and there's no dude, but they're like all this stuff, right? They know when they're getting married, they know how, they know who's going to be in it and how many doves and the first dance, the song for the first dance and all this. And so I guess my question to Dr. Perry is, do you ever come across people who you think they're more into the idea of love versus actually being in love? And how do you help people to figure that out?
Yeah, you know, I would say there is something that happens when you are in those initial stages of love. I mean, and to be honest, there's actually a physical reaction that occurs, an actual physical thing that happens in our body. So that's what helps us to stay up until 4 in the morning, you know, saying, well, I love you, no, I love you. Well, no, you hang up. Well, no, you hang up. You know, I mean, there's actual you know, things happening that give us that energy, and it makes us feel good. And that's why they kind of say, you know, after 6 months, kind of check in, because that's when it might sort of, you know, it's like, okay, they're not calling as much and kind of what's going on, because a lot of that excitement is starting to wear off, that initial physical, chemical reaction. So the question is it love or is it lust? You know, so that's really what you have to kind of identify, you know, like what really is it? And like I said before, love is not about, you know, just the physical. It is about sacrifice. It's about, will you get up and come over and get me if I need to get to the airport, you know, without giving me a hard time about it. It is, so yeah, I think there's some people that once they get to that 6 months, it's like, I'm not into it anymore. I'm bored. I need something new. So let me go here, or let me go there. I guess we would say that they have fear of commitments, maybe. So some of us may be attracted to those folks, right? I'm
sorry. I actually agree, because you know how they say that people have like the honeymoon stage or whatnot. And
Yeah.
I don't know where I read this, but it was somewhere, because I Google random stuff. It's pathetic, but I really do. And I Googled something, and they were like, you know, after 4 months, if you keep thinking about that person, you're in love. How does that even make sense, that if you keep thinking about someone after 4 months that you're in love? Like, what? That makes no sense.
Right, yeah. You know, I guess there's lots of gimmicks that kind of try to help the people, because, you know, folks are wanting to know. Dating can be fun, but dating can also be very scary, because for those of us who've gotten through rejection, it's a very painful experience. Nobody wants to be rejected, and so they work hard at trying to avoid that, you know. So oftentimes, you know, people will, as I said, kind of saying before, kind of opt out of the whole thing, but yeah, so they're looking for these little, you know, tips and tricks, and what is it that he says and how he says it that helps me to know, and the whole thing. But again, at the end of the day,
right,
be good with you and in your space, you know. So
right. So with the tips and tricks and all that good stuff, it's like, does that even keep a man? Because like, how long can you do tips and tricks and all that stuff?
It's about reinventing, being creative. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Do men spend time being inventive and creative? Do men spend as much time trying to think of, you know, the spontaneity stuff as women do?
Yes. Trust me. If a guy who, I'll be honest with you, as this is really a frank conversation here, a guy will whisper anything in your ear to get with you. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
Right?
Yeah, you're completely right. Yes.
I've had other guys tell me that too.
Yeah, yeah. They told me I love you so many times. It's pathetic. No.
He will
And
tell
it's
you
not
what
true.
you want to hear, you know. But hey.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So if that's cool, if that's what you're wanting, go for it, you know.
Yeah.
If it's not, then you move on, you know. A lot of women will, you know, as I said, make excuses and they waste their time with people who are not looking for what they're looking for, you know. So it's not necessarily about, as I said before, kind of, well, you know, he said this, and like you said, Humphrey, say whatever I want to hear to keep me there. Is
Yeah.
that bottom line what you're looking for?
I had a friend who went on a dating website. Now, he's been married before, divorced, he has a child and everything. Now, he says he's had a few relationships, but he wants to settle down. So anyway, he went on this dating website, met somebody. Now, the lady was really full on, and he was like, whoa, he's actually stepped back. So I said, look, go with the flow, have fun. You're not going to find somebody to settle down just like that. They're going to want to have some fun, and in the process, you'll learn. If that person's for you, then go for it. If not, then well, hey. But initially, he wanted to find somebody just to settle down with, and I said, the difference is, it's like that's what you want to do, and she may not want to do that yet. But it takes a bit of time. It's a process that you go through. So I just said to him, I said, it's entirely up to you, but go with the flow. Enjoy, have fun. That is the main thing, and I think that's what we all tend to miss in a relationship is having fun together, basically.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I do have to agree. I do. I just want to tell you guys this one thing that my father told me, and I just felt like I had to share to the world. I'm sorry, guys. But I feel like I have to share it to all the female because if there's one thing my father told me when I was 16 years old, and it sticks to me, and I am 29 right now, and I am still carrying this, is that he always told me to find a man that loves me more than I love him because therefore he would never fail me and he would never let me down.
My dad said the same thing. Yes.
Why can't I find that guy? I feel like I heard my dad saying it. I'm like just going through the motions and dealing with everyone else's stuff. Like when I know it in my head, but I'm just being stupid about it.
No. It takes a while.
Like my
mother told me that too. So it seems like it's not just it was a generational piece of advice, but it seems like we all got that advice.
Right, yeah. Well, we're not taking it.
I think, but there's reasons for that. I think there's reasons for that. You know, first of all, there's so much wisdom from our parents. I wish that they could all just put it down in a book, and this generation and generations come would read it and realize it. But there's some real male-female differences, and I talk about this in my group as well, around kind of how we see the whole process of dating. So the first thing is, when men love, they love. You know, they're not all kind of, you know, just about getting what they can get out of it. But secondly, there is some truth around this idea of pursuing. You know, there's this excitement around, you know, being pursued. And I talk to women all the time about, you know, you're working too hard. You know, back off a little bit. You know, stop trying to control it. Stop trying to make it happen. Just kind of be, and let him be the one to come to you. Because from his point of view, that makes you more exciting and more attractive. And so, there is something to let him love you a little bit more, you know.
It's hard for the alpha women on this panel.
Well,
because I think we're all alpha, so we're just like, okay. Yeah.
The ballroom dancing lessons are sounding a little bit better.
But I do completely agree with you, Dr. Perry. I really, truly do, because yes, we are alpha females, and it's what you just said. It's gonna take so much time for it to hit up here because I'm so alpha, but I don't mean to be alpha. It's just that, you know, my mom is a really strong, independent person, but my father is also an alpha male. So I have like two alphas in the house, and they're just like, bam, let's do this. And I'm just like, where do I go? I don't know. So let me just take up on both. And now I'm just like, okay, I see from a male point and I see from a female point, but at the same time, you know, at the end of the day, I am a daddy's girl, and I do want, when I do get into a relationship or, you know, get married, that I do want my man, my husband, to, I don't want to say run the house, because I will be running it with him, but, you know, he would have the executive decision, if that makes sense, you know. I would give him that much, but even though he would have the executive decision, I'm the one that actually made it for him, but, you know, he says it out loud. You know, so that's where I am, and I feel like I just don't see that happening nowadays, but that's okay.
Okay, I want to go back to the fact that you're 29, we're not, and I think that you have a beautiful future ahead of you with a man who loves you more than you love him. So, but I want to say, I would say that to my younger self, really, really believe that, and kind of really be happy, as Dr. Rhonda said at the very top of this, you know, just be happy and make yourself happy so that you attract that happiness, but knowing those cues. But yeah, we are going to wrap up. I wish we could talk all night. Dr. Rhonda, give us our instructions. What, you know, what have you gathered from this? Our three alpha women, our wonderful sensitive male from the UK. Who breaks it down. I mean, what are our instructions?
Humphrey, you did awesome.
Yeah, he was great. Oh, yeah. And the lion's den here. Terrific. Yes. Tell us what to do, Dr. Rhonda.
Well, first of all, I want to just say, you know, 5 single individuals here who are awesome people and who are, you know, feeling good about who they are, but still desiring the partnership, having questions about it. It's just about living and doing the journey. So that's the first thing. Also, as I said before, we create our happiness. So we can't look to another individual to do that for us. So if that's why you're seeking partnership or marriage, that's the reason for it, you're going to have a very rude awakening because it's not someone else's responsibility to do that for you. For the women out there, I would say, you know, we are attractive when we're confident. You know, when we're confident, when we're smart, and we know who we are, men are drawn to you. So just keep that in mind. It's not about trying to figure out and be strategic, because we as women can be strategic, you know, about like how to get that person. But it's just about just being who you are, as I said before. Men are not the enemy, so remembering that too as well. But I just think this has been a great discussion. You know, hopefully we can do it again, Nicole, at some point. We went much longer, I think, than planned. But, you know, these conversations are happening all over the world, in coffee houses and bars and people's homes. You know, this is just, it's who we are. We are built for relationships. So hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, love makes the world go round. So I want to thank everybody who is on tonight with me and Dr. Rhonda. That was so fun. Our friend Nicole. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been great.
All that wisdom. Thank you. You know, again, then we had to grow through it, and I love the epiphanies. That's terrific. Kay, always a pleasure. Kay's got the blog, where'smypacifier.com. You can follow her, laugh with her, cry with her.
Everything with me. I need a pacifier. I'm just silly, guys.
And Humphrey, it was so great to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for, hey, I enjoyed it. Cool.
Yeah, so the women are better where? Here in the U.S. or in the UK? You got to say. You got to choose.
U.S.
That's right. Good answer, Humphrey. Good answer.
The U.S. The U.S.
You have no choice but to say that.
Yeah, he can't go outside tomorrow, unfortunately.
They're about the same.
Dr. Rhonda, tell us where to find you.
So you can see at the lower at the bottom there's my Twitter handle. And you can also find me at Dr., not doctor, but Dr., my name, Rhonda, at newdirectionsatlanta.com. There is, you can feel free to shoot me an email if you have questions. I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you might have. So yeah, hit me up.
Fantastic. And the hashtag Healing Broken Hearts on Twitter. And Dr. Rhonda has a book coming out soon, so we're excited about that, and we'll tell you all about it. Please join our community online, an Epiphany Conversation, or EConvo is the hashtag. You can always find us. I'm at Nicole Edits everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. And thank you, everyone. Please share this video and join us and send questions, and we'll probably be back. All right. Talk soon, everybody. Thank you.